Hi guys. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight. Today's video is going to be another reading video. And this time I'm reading probably one of the most popular romance books of all time, The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. I also have some nice nighttime ambiance noises going on in the background. Let me know if you enjoy that. I myself am in my pajamas right now. I just took a nice hot bubble bath. I have a nice glass of water next to me, and I have another candle from Posh Candle Company. This is not sponsored, I promise. I wish it was. I just love them and their candles. It's just a great mood setter. This one is called When in Doubt, Relax. It has lavender and sage, and I thought it would be a great addition to our nighttime story. So let me light it. Let me take a sip of my drink before I start. And with that being said, let's begin The Notebook. Miracles. Who am I? And how, I wonder, will this story end? The sun has come up, and I am sitting by a window that is foggy, with the breath of a life gone by. I'm a sight this morning. 2 shirts, heavy pants, a scarf wrapped twice around my neck, and tucked into a thick sweater knitted by my daughter 30 birthdays ago. The thermostat in my room is set as high as it will go, and a smaller space heater sits directly behind me. It clicks and groans and spews hot air like a fairy tale dragon, and still my body shivers with a cold that will never go away. A cold that has been 80 years in the making. 80 years, I think sometimes, and despite my own acceptance of my age, it still amazes me that I haven't been warm since George Bush was president. I wonder if this is how it is for everyone my age. My life, it isn't easy to explain. It has not been the rip-roaring spectacular I fancied it would be, but neither have I burrowed around with the gophers. I suppose it has most resembled a blue chip stock, fairly stable, more ups than downs, and gradually trending upward over time. A good boy, a lucky boy, and I've learned that not everyone can say this about his life. But do not be misled. I am nothing special. Of this I am sure. I am a common man with common thoughts, and I've led a common life. There are no monuments dedicated to me, and my name will soon be forgotten. But I've loved another with all my heart and soul, and to me, this has always been enough. The romantics would call this a love story. The cynics would call it a tragedy. In my mind, it's a little bit of both. And no matter how you choose to view it in the end, it does not change the fact that it involves a great deal of my life and the path I've chosen to follow. I have no complaints about my path and the places it has taken me. Enough complaints to fill a circus tent about other things, maybe, but the path I've chosen has always been the right one, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Time, unfortunately, doesn't make it easy to stay on course. The path is straight as ever, but now it's strewn with the rocks and gravel that accumulate over a lifetime. Until 3 years ago, it would have been easy to ignore, but it's impossible now. There is a sickness rolling through my body. I'm neither strong nor healthy, and my days are spent like an old party balloon, listless, spongy, and growing softer over time. I cough, and through squinted eyes, I check my watch. I realize it's time to go. I stand from my seat by the window and shuffle across the room, stopping at the desk to pick up the notebook. I have read it 100 times. I do not glance through it. Instead, I slip it beneath my arm and continue on my way to the place I must go. I walk on tiled floors, white in color and speckled with gray. Like my hair and the hair of most people here, though I'm the only one in the hallway this morning. They are in their rooms alone except for television, but they, like me, are used to it. A person can get used to anything if given enough time. I hear the muffled sounds of crying in the distance, and I know exactly who is making those sounds. Then the nurses see me, and we smile at each other and exchange greetings. They are my friends, and we talk often, but I am sure they wonder about me and the things that I go through every day. I listen as they begin to whisper among themselves as I pass. There he goes again, I hear. I hope it turns out well. But they say nothing directly to me about it. I'm sure they think it would hurt me to talk about it so early in the morning, and knowing myself as I do, I think they're probably right. A minute later, I reach the room. The door has been propped open for me, as it usually is. There are 2 others in the room, and they too smile at me as I enter. Good morning, they say with cheery voices, and I take a moment to ask about the kids and the schools and the upcoming vacations. We talk above the crying for a minute or so. They do not seem to notice. They have become numb to it, but then again, so have I. Afterward, I sit in the chair that has come to be shaped like me. They are finishing up now. Her clothes are on, but she is still crying. It will become quieter after they leave, I know. The excitement of the morning always upsets her, and today is no exception. Finally, the shade is open, and the nurses walk out. Both of them touch me and smile as they walk by. I wonder what this means. I sit for just a second and stare at her, but she doesn't return the look. I understand, for she doesn't know who I am. I am a stranger to her. Then, turning away, I bow my head and pray silently for the strength I know I will need. I have always been a firm believer in God and the power of prayer, though, to be honest, my faith has made for a list of questions I definitely want answered after I'm gone. Ready now. On go the glasses. Out of my pocket comes a magnifier. I put it on the table for a moment while I open the notebook. It takes 2 licks on my gnarled finger to get the well-worn cover open to the first page. Then I put the magnifier in place. There is always a moment right before I begin to read the story when my mind churns and I wonder, will it happen today? I don't know, for I never know beforehand, and deep down it really doesn't matter. It's the possibility that keeps me going, not the guarantee, a sort of wager on my part. And though you may call me a dreamer or fool or any other thing, I believe that anything is possible. I realize the odds and science are against me, but science is not the total answer. This I know. This I have learned in my lifetime, and that leaves me with the belief that miracles, no matter how inexplicable or unbelievable, are real and can occur without regard to the natural order of things. So once again, just as I do every day, I begin to read the notebook aloud so that she can hear it, in the hope that the miracle that has come to dominate my life will once again prevail. And maybe, just maybe, it will. Ghosts. It was early October 1946, and Noah Calhoun watched the fading sun sink lower from the wraparound porch of his plantation-style home. He liked to sit here in the evenings, especially after working hard all day, and let his thoughts wander without conscious direction. It was how he relaxed, a routine he learned from his father. He especially liked to look at the trees and their reflections in the river. North Carolina trees are beautiful in deep autumn. Greens, yellows, reds, oranges, every shade in between. Their dazzling colors glow within the sun, and for the 100th time, Noah Calhoun wondered if the original owners of the house had spent their evenings thinking the same things. The house was built in 1772, making it one of the oldest, as well as largest, homes in New Bern. Originally, it was the main house on a working plantation, and he had bought it right after the war ended and had spent the last 11 months and a small fortune repairing it. The reporter from the Raleigh paper had done an article on it a few weeks ago and had said it was one of the finest restorations he had ever seen. At least the house was. The remaining property was another story, and that was where he'd spent most of the day. The home sat on 12 acres, adjacent to Bryce's Creek, and he'd worked on the wooden fence that lined the other 3 sides of the property, checking for dry rot or termites, replacing posts when he had to. He still had more work to do on it, especially on the west side, and as he'd put the tools away earlier, he made a mental note to call and have some more lumber delivered. He'd gone into the house, drunk a glass of sweet tea, then showered. He always showered at the end of the day, the water washing away both dirt and fatigue. Afterward, he'd combed his hair back, put on some faded jeans and a long-sleeved blue shirt, poured himself another glass of sweet tea, and gone to the porch, where he sat every day at this time. He stretched his arms over his head, then out to the sides, rolling his shoulders as he completed the routine. He felt good and clean now, fresh. His muscles were tired, and he knew he'd be a little sore tomorrow, but he was pleased that he had accomplished most of what he had wanted to do. Noah reached for his guitar, remembering his father as he did so, thinking how much he missed him. He strummed once, adjusted the tension on 2 strings, then strummed again. This time it sounded about right, and he began to play. Soft music, quiet music. He hummed for a little while at first, then began to sing as night came down around him. He played and sang until the sun was gone, and then the sky was black. It was a little after 7 when he quit, and he settled back in his chair and began to rock. By habit, he looked upward and saw Orion and the Big Dipper, Gemini and the Pole Star, twinkling in the autumn sky. He started to run the numbers in his head, then stopped. He knew he'd spent almost his entire savings on the house and would have to find a job again soon, but he pushed the thought away and decided to enjoy the remaining months of restoration without worrying about it. It would work out for him, he knew. It always did. Besides, thinking about money usually bored him. Early on, he learned to enjoy simple things that couldn't be bought, and he had a hard time understanding people who felt otherwise. It was another trait he got from his father. Clem, his hound dog, came up to him then and nuzzled his hand before lying down at his feet. "Hey, girl, how are you doing?" he asked as he petted her head, and she whined softly, her soft, round eyes peering upward. A car accident had taken her leg, but she still moved well enough, and kept him company on quiet nights like these. He was 31 now, not too old, but old enough to be lonely. He hadn't dated since he'd been back here, hadn't met anyone who remotely interested him. It was his own fault, he knew. There was something that kept a distance between him and any woman who started to get close, something he wasn't sure he could change even if he tried. And sometimes, in the moments right before sleep came, he wondered if he was destined to be alone forever. And that is where I'm going to stop. I just wanted to give a little teaser. I hope you enjoyed that. If you would like more of The Notebook, please let me know. Good night, and I'll see you in my next video.